Hey girls, Maria Menounos here, author of the Every Girl's Guide to Life. Want to know my best tips and secrets for organization, travel, weight loss, beauty, fashion, and everything else in between? Go to bing.com/Maria and pick up my new book, The Every Girl's Guide to Life.
You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, this is AfterBuzz TV for the United States of Tara. Tonight's host is DJ Jesse Janedy. Joining Jesse will be AfterBuzz co-hosts Aaron LaRosa and David Schifolitti. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest United States of Tara news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, DJ Jesse Janedy!
Yo, what up, AfterBuzzers? It's your boy DJ Jesse Janedy here with the United States of Tara, Season 3, Episode 9, Bryce Will Play. I'm here joined with my dear friend David. David,
Hi.
how do you do?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little upset because Erin won't be joining us.
Again.
For those who don't listen to Nurse Jackie, Erin is educating the youth of America.
The youth of Southern
The
California.
youth of Southern California who clearly needs it.
They need help, but they need all the help they can get.
They sure enough do. Before we get into the United States of Tara,
What's with this accent?
it's an altar that I've created.
Okay.
Before we get into the
right?
United States of Tara, I want to talk quickly, briefly, real shortly about something amazing. Maria Menounos is on the cover of Self magazine looking gorgeous, fierce, fabulous, whatever other effing words you could create. Yeah, she's talking about her newest book, The Every Girl's Guide to Life, which is...
I just want to mention the success of this show, given the fact that it's not video, has been audio.
Wait, what?
Hint, hint. I'm
Stop
just
with
saying.
the accent.
Well, the accent is audio. It's not visual because I'm just sitting here.
Which is why I said the success of this show has been
Right.
the audio.
Well, thank you. So, anyways, Maria Menounos, The Every Girl's Guide to Life. Make sure you get it out there, purchase it, Amazon.com, any bookstore. It's flying off the shelves. You need it in your life. Greeks know everything. She knows all the secrets to the world, and they're in this book. Also, Self Magazine, just if you've already read the book, she has even more tips. And plus, they're just hot pictures to have of Maria Menounos.
And I will say this on behalf of the Greeks, just so they don't sound so arrogant. They actually picked up, especially in Maria's case, these are mantras that she's picked up from all the best people in her life.
Yes.
And in many ways, you know, it's things that she stumbled through and learned along the way, and it's things that she's learned from other people who've done the same.
Mostly her Greek parents. Phil, would you like to step in with the producer announcement?
Sure.
Go ahead.
There's no nice segue like you guys did for me and Nurse Jackie.
Well, no, the segue was you shutting me down. But go ahead.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, listen to Nurse Jackie, episode 9.
Please do.
But anyways, so Erin, yes, she's not here because she's doing other wonderful things in the world, and that is what AfterBuzz is. We're all an eclectic and knowledgeable mix of industry professionals as well as celebrities who have opinions about the entertainment we create and the entertainment we watch. And you know what? So we volunteer our time to do this because we really want to get our opinions heard and as well as interact with fans. You know, whether it's Twitter, whether it's you guys emailing us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com, or now going on to our Facebook page, facebook.com/AfterBuzzTV, where you can we'll post questions and comments for you guys, as well as photos now. We're really excited. But yes, anyway, so that's the long and short of it is we're here for you. We volunteer our time, and all we ask for in return is that you tell your friends.
That's it.
That's all.
That's all.
We ask you no money, nothing else. We're here for you. Anyway, on to Nurse Jackie.
Whoa.
No, wait.
Tara.
That's right. I got the too many nurse. Yeah.
That's because Jackie's on the TV.
They both wear like blue sometimes, so there you go.
They both wear blue and they have blonde hair.
Yeah, so United States of Terror. Tonight we actually have a special segment since there's never any news on United States of Terror other than the fact that
Which, by the way, no news can sometimes be good news because, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, the news that we have today isn't good news
It's
for
not so
us.
great.
Because United States of Terror will not be picked up for a 4th season. However,
is so
positive news,
sad.
Nurse Jackie will be picked up for a 4th season.
Yay.
So yeah, in our special segment, we're going to have a little discussion about that. And Phil, we will ask that you join in on that, being someone who isn't a fan of United States. So we want to hear some different opinions.
Sure. I don't want to insert my haterade, but if you guys really want,
No,
You know,
I'll give
I
my
think
2 cents, literally.
It's not haterade, it's educating the youth. That's my new thing. That's going to be my new
That's your new thing.
Yes.
That's
All
your
right.
new mantra.
Yes, my new mantra in life. So Bryce will play. He sure did.
Yes, he did.
This episode, Bryce took over. Tara was a poor little girl in this episode. She had no control, and she's losing it.
I know.
Hattaras had to call in the chief of psychology.
The head of the psychology
the
department.
psychology-
Chief of psychology.
Well, that's what his title was. Co-chief of psychology department. That's what I have written down.
Yeah. All right.
So, okay, he calls him in, and because apparently this is getting out of hand.
Well, I
This-
don't think he knows how to handle it.
Right, which the guy was the head of the department said to him, I think you need to turn this to a professional.
Yeah.
You only work 5 days a week, 9 to 5.
Not even.
Yeah. So the opening scene, we see Bryce,
With Hattaras and the chief.
kind of being interviewed, just to try and
Mhm.
find out, what he's doing, what his plans are. And Bryce explains that he doesn't believe in DID. And this was really interesting to them because they've never heard of an alter who doesn't believe in DID.
Right. Which is crazy.
Yeah. So within the beginning segment, Bryce turns back into Tara. And, since Bryce killed Chick and Tara hasn't been back, so this is Tara's first time coming back to her senses.
Mm-hmm.
And she can automatically feel Chicken missing. And she's told by the head of the department that she's created what's called an abuser alter, which is a personality of an actual person who the personality becomes the abuser to protect her from the actual abuser.
Right. I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah, it was interesting because last week we were talking about the fact that how can you create an alter
Of
an
someone who
actual
actually
person.
exists. And this totally explains it.
It does. What was kind of interesting was before they actually gave the age of Bryce, how old did you assume Bryce was?
I thought he was an adult.
Me too.
Full on, full grown man.
His
Like,
conversation was
yeah,
very...
he's very intelligent for what we later find out is a 14-year-old boy.
Yes.
And it's insane that she's created him, or her mind has created this abuser alter, has created Bryce as a child
Right.
still, from probably when he was around. I mean, I guess that's when she knew him. That's when he was in her life.
My brain can be so sick and twisted in so many ways that I just had...
Your brain? Spit it
Yeah.
out.
It's really absurd, and I don't know if any fan...
I want to hear.
Okay, so what if...
Uh-huh. Tell me. I'm curious now.
What if
Uh-huh.
there really was no Bryce?
Right.
The purpose was... You ready for this?
Yeah.
And it's all from the scene of when, at the end,
Yep, I know where you're going.
with Charmaine,
Yeah.
when Bryce, Tara, as Bryce said, "You remember me, don't you?" It's your little brother.
Older brother.
Your older brother. What if Tara's so crazy that as a child she created this altar and
Raped her sister.
raped and
raped
did
herself.
did things to herself, and that's her excuse for doing that to her sister and to herself. Crazy.
That's
I know.
crazy because
there is
Charmaine would
actual,
remember, and the parents wouldn't admit to the
absolutely.
fact that there is.
That's why I said it was absurd.
Right.
You just made me say that. So, anyways,
Well, I wanted to hear. I
David
was
literally
curious.
reached across and twisted my arm.
Yeah,
Literally.
literally.
Literally. So, before we get into the whole Tara situation, another big storyline was Marshall and Max. Marshall has his film enrolled in a
The film fest.
film
in
fest.
New York.
film fest.
That's what it was.
So they went out there to New York, and I liked how it started because
I did too. It was
they
very
had
nice.
little father and son bonding moments, and Max was like a little.
Buying a hot dog.
First of all, Max is only. Marshall's 14 years old.
I know his father's like cursing up a storm.
Well, beyond that, Marshall's 14 years old, having sex and wanting
I know.
boys to fuck him, and
I know.
having three-way kisses, and just directing movies at the age of 14. Like, go you! But
I don't even know what I was doing at 14.
playing with Godzilla toys out in the mud, like.
That's what you were doing at 14?
Yes. Well, probably not at 14.
I hope not at 14.
But 14.
Playing with Godzilla toys in the mud.
No, I guess that's a little younger, but.
Yeah. Let's hope.
So.
I
they're in New York, and Marshall gives Tara a call, and he's really excited because he got a director, Jim Gervais. Yeah, Jim Jarvis.
Jarvis.
There we are. Jim Jarvis, whoever the heck that is.
He met him on the subway. He bumped into him on the subway.
He explained who he was,
And
sort of, and Hattaras was hating
Hattaras was hating. Hattaras was yelling in the background, trying to make her tell
them what the situation
what is
was
going on at home.
Which I understand why Tara didn't do that, because your son's calling you really happy. Max seems happy.
He said
at
he
the
was having
moment.
the best week of his life.
Right. So Marshall's excited because this supposedly big time director is going to come check his movie out, and I don't even think that was the biggest excitement to Marshall. I think just the fact that he was with his father. I really think that added to a lot of his excitement.
Yeah, for sure.
Cut to the scene of them at the festival.
Mm-hmm. When the movie comes on.
Yeah. Very
was it called?
interesting.
Max Does Good.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, Max Does Good.
The entire movie, which we felt was going to be about Tara, was actually about Max, his father.
And you could just see how uncomfortable he was. Like, you could see it in his face. Like, he was mad. He was uncomfortable.
Well, why do you feel he was mad?
Well, I mean, we see after they watch the movie, the scene after the movie ends, and they're walking on the street.
Well, I know what Max says. Max explains to Marshall. Well, basically, the movie basically shows Max that he's this guy who has all these dreams, but he just deals with the life he has.
Right. Which actually, I mean, I don't think that Marshall showed him in a bad light at all.
No, and that's why.
I mean, he showed him as like a loving husband and father and a caregiver, and in, I think, the best possible light he could. And I don't know, he got really upset about it.
And that's why I asked you why he felt that way. A big thing is I think he saw himself, and I think he kind of got mad at the fact that, this is what is going on, and my own son can recognize it. Because at the end, Marshall basically said to Max, I love Mom too, but she has to know how crazy she is and the shit she puts us through.
Right.
Max never really confronts that with Tara. He never talks about it with the kids, and that's what's always got me through this whole show, is the fact that Max is we've always said that Max has been, this loving husband, the shoulders that holds Tara's head up. But he's never sat his kids down and really talked about Tara's problems, Tara's issues. And I understand when people have kids, there's no book on parenting. Nobody knows how to raise a child. It's kind of something you learn and you do. But in this situation, you've been with Tara for so long. You know how she is. You know how she reacts to situations. You know how to deal with her better than her own children would know.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
For sure.
There has to me, not, common sense would say that you have to sit down at one point and
discuss things with them.
Yeah, and that's clear. It clearly hasn't happened for Marshall to have made this movie and to have read his father like that at the end.
Read his father.
Read him to a T.
Of course he would read his father.
Right.
Little 14-year-old gay boy.
And I think Marshall's going through all these feelings, all these thoughts. He's coming out at 14 years old, which
Younger.
that's such a young age to make a decision on, with that. And we've never seen Marshall even trying to talk to a girl,
other than his sister.
Well,
I mean, he's in a crazy household as it is. I mean, so it doesn't surprise me that he figured out who he was at a young age, having to deal with the sister that he has and the father that he has and the mother that he has been handed. He has a lot of issues going on around him, and being like a level-headed younger man, I'm sure he's had a lot of time to himself.
A lot of time to himself, clearly, and he's making these little Lego movies.
And we were not Legos.
No, I know. It was. Now, at the end of the movie, there was a scene of Max and Tara. I liked the way he set up Tara and her different personalities
Me
as
too.
heads in the kitchen, and she would put whichever head on. And at the end of the day, Max would come in and pick up Tara's head and put that head on, and kind of
very
console her.
sweet.
Exactly. At the end of the movie,
Marshall's movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, they show Tara and Max looking out the window at a hospital on the hill.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this Chinese fan opens up. I don't know if that was supposed to represent the sun.
Sunset. I think it was the sunset.
Yeah.
It was very picturesque.
It was. It was really. I liked that. It was really
Fan.
cool.
In the hospital.
And he said
it was a metaphor.
what I couldn't think.
I
of what
have no idea what the metaphor is.
the hospital on the hill. Maybe looking towards the day
That she gets better?
that she's always seeked professional help. Has she though? I mean,
I mean, she
not
has
putting
she
medication
has a current
aside.
prescription
Right.
for her anti-psychs. As she earlier said, it must be time to go back to the drugstore and get the anti-psychs.
Right. Well, yeah,
I mean,
she's
so
been
she
off of it for a while.
Yeah, but she has to have a prescription that she can go fill, and she doesn't go see a doctor to get the prescription. She just goes to the pharmacy. So she's already sought professional help. So I
At the
don't
Happy
know.
Hospital on the hill.
The Happy Hospital with the
Anyone
with the
knows what that
sunset.
is, 424-256-1729, or write in at AfterBuzz TV, info at AfterBuzzTV.com. Because, yeah,
I'm stumped,
yes,
for sure.
very much. So, yeah, Max and Marshall are kind of on this bad riff, so the plane ride on the way back should be very interesting.
Yes.
And another thing was Marshall explaining that no one had time to see his movie.
Yeah, the director didn't come.
Well, the director, and the fact that back home, Tara didn't have time, his father
And
didn't
no
have
one
time.
asked to
and
watch it.
Yeah,
Which is why he didn't show it to them.
right. So that'll be an interesting topic coming back home
Mhm.
when they get back. And it was funny because Max said, if your mother saw this, it would kill her. And Marshall explained, no, Mom's pretty tough, and she knows what she puts us through.
through.
So, yeah, they're going to be touching
very
some
smart.
deep roots and going to be opening up some wounds when they get back. Tara will be.
I guess we'll see.
Another character who had kind of we didn't see that much of Kate this episode.
No, we didn't. She was on. We saw her in St. Louis on a date.
At a baseball museum. Whatever. With Evan and
Because they
his...
have the Louisville Slugger
Yeah.
baseball bats. So it's a baseball bat. It's the history of the baseball bat museum.
Whoa. If I was that kid, I would
Very
act like that.
boring.
Evan brought his child around who just is insane.
A nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare, to say the least.
Speaking of kids, Charmaine. Yeah, she had a small little role in this episode, but she's just trying to be a mom, single mom. She ended up locking her baby and the keys in the car,
Which is very doable. I feel like when you have a baby and you're trying to go somewhere and your mind is other places, and
she plays the character well.
she does. It's not out of like the entire realm of reality that a mother might lock her keys in the car
Right.
with the baby.
Very Britney-esque moment. Of her.
Very Britney.
Um,
Very Christina Aguilera right now. Very Lindsay Lohan.
so
All my girls.
oh my God.
They're all drunk messes and I love them.
Charmaine, now you're in the boat. Speaking
And
of drunk,
Charmaine.
Charmaine wants to go to a mother's book club, which
She
is
joins a mother's book club.
which,
In quotes,
quotes.
I want to say.
because they go to the park, and Charmaine finds out motherhood isn't that bad, you know, if you find the right mothers.
If you
who are
find the right
down.
mothers to hang out with, everything's easy breezy beautiful.
They read books
Cover girl.
such as,
They're reading
Breakfast at
Anna Karenina,
Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, and Valley of the Dolls.
which are really alcoholic beverages in their thermoses.
In their thermoses, yeah. So Anna Karenina's Stoli on the Rocks. Valley of the Dolls is pills, which is very apropos.
Yes.
And then Breakfast at Tiffany's is mimosas.
And Charmaine chose Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I'd go Valley of the Dolls. Full on.
What?
I love that book.
All right, Nurse Jackie.
That's a good book, and I'm
You understand the...
done. I get it.
You do.
Yes.
All right.
Well, yeah. I mean, are you gonna drink straight vodka?
No, I probably would have went with the Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Okay.
Orange juice, it's just something light.
Just a little something light to
Yeah,
hold
I don't
you
need to
off.
be watching my baby perked up. So yeah, the mother's, she gets this whole thing with the moms going on, which I think this is gonna give her an edge, take her edge off, but at the same time, I think it's gonna lead her someplace
Dark.
she shouldn't be going. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the next time we saw her in the episode, she was wasted.
Wasted, and seems to think that Dr. Hattaras has feelings for Tara, which is interesting because I've never thought that through
No,
this.
that never crossed my mind.
But now that she brings it up, and this whole situation with Max and realizing about the relationship,
No,
it won't go. I don't think it'll go there. It was just interesting that.
Yeah, it's very interesting
Both
that
of
she
those are
brought it
brought
up,
But no,
but I can't.
no. I think especially with the season
Enough
ending,
things are happening to Tara that I don't think they'd break up her marriage at the same time. Like, she has a new altar, and there's no way that they would want to break her up.
Well, you never know.
I mean, I
with
guess
these
we'll
shows.
see.
Um,
Right? There's only 3 more episodes.
3 more. So, let's get into Tara.
Let's.
So we know she has an abuser altar.
Mm-hmm.
She's working with Dr. Hattaras very closely. Dr. Hattaras has basically moved into her house, which is strange.
Freeloading.
But I understand, he's no one's there for her who really understands, and he's kind
Also, he sees that she's alone.
right.
So, I mean, I think he's taking the opportunity to stay with her and get to know her a little bit better because they are writing this paper together. And at the same time, it's a way for him to keep an eye on her because he did spend the whole night with her the night before driving Bryce around.
Right.
And they went to 2 diners. And only until he was, quote unquote, bored and out of Cheetos did Tara come back.
He also explained, because Dr. Hattaras confronted him and said, you say you kill, you don't believe in DID, but you're killing these altars.
Right.
How does that make sense? You're not actually killing them. And he said, well, she thinks I am.
Right.
And the point
Because
is...
he kills, what's...
Chicken.
Chicken.
And then he kills...
later on he kills Shoshana. Or gets rid of Shoshana.
Yeah, that was the most interesting one because... so Tara went home and she took her meds, actually.
She's studying and she took her meds and then Bryce, right when she took her medication, Bryce made her, forced her to throw up.
In which they didn't show that time that they were showing...
She
she's
stuck her
throwing the pillow.
fingers. She stuck her fingers down her
But we
throat.
didn't see the pill come up, did we?
No, they cut to it after she was burning the books. There was throw up on the table.
Okay. So yeah, she's throwing her pills back up, which is just the mentality of that your body is thinking and knows to do.
Your body's like rejecting it.
Crazy. Which is almost a positive thing in a way, because she's never really wanted to depend on the meds.
Right.
So she burns all these books, all these psychology books, and we find out that Shoshana is gone now.
Shoshana's missing.
So the books on psychology that Tara's been reading represent Shoshana and trying to heal herself, which is kind of interesting, because as soon as Tara started, she left the psychologist, she left, therapy and all this stuff. Once she did that and she started buying self-help books, that's when Shoshana came into play.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting how they brought that whole segment to an end.
And now Shoshana's gone. And then later on,
she killed... Well, before we get into that,
okay.
I thought it was also interesting at the fact that Bryce made the comment of, once he kills these alters, there's more room in the head for him to take over.
Yes, because he's a growing boy.
Yes.
Which is when we find out his age. He's a growing boy and he needs room. He needs space. And then once they're all gone, it's just him and Tara. And then it'll just be him.
It'll just be him. And then, but that's where I kind of got confused with the fact of, Hattaras explained, well, once you kill Tara, there's no you.
Right.
What was his reaction to that?
He didn't have
He just got mad, right?
Yeah, he just got mad and then he turned back into Tara.
Right. So yeah, they're playing, they had played cards and he had kept them up all night. And that
They played Go Fish.
I'm sorry,
they
played
didn't play
Go
cards.
Fish, yeah.
They played Go Fish.
Let's be real about it.
Let's be real. The psychologist and the grown woman played Go Fish.
Hey, it's a good drinking game. But this is this is the most interest. This was the most interesting for me because Tara admitted something crazy. She said, maybe, the other alters are upset with me because I'm allowing Bryce to kill off the rest of them,
and they're afraid of him.
and they feel that I can stop him. So they're mad at me, and now I feel I'm alone in my head,
and they won't
in a
talk
corner,
to me.
and they won't talk to me.
Yeah.
And that they've been friends with her for 25 years or
20
however.
years. She said, I've been friends with them
Yeah.
for 20 years. And she knows that they're in her head, but they're still her friends. And she
Right.
could always turn to them. And now she has no one to turn to because they're afraid.
And she also almost gave Bryce credit in saying, maybe creating Bryce is the only way for me to actually get them out of my head.
Right. Which is very interesting.
I mean, because then that brings into play the whole fact of, especially when Marshall made the comment, Mom knows she's crazy, and we play along to it.
We placate her.
And it's like, in life, when you grow up, you have to come to make decisions in life, and you say to yourself, okay, well, this isn't mature anymore. It was acceptable when I was this age, but I need to drop it. And even though there's a comfortability with it, and it's uncomfortable sometimes growing up and taking that new step, admitting it to yourself, it's almost like, well, that's what Tara's going through.
So you're saying you don't play with Godzilla toys anymore in the mud?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, like, when it came to the realization at 17 years old.
17 years old. You had to stop playing.
Laying on my bed, I turned to my bureau.
Your
And
bureau.
On top of it was my Godzilla toy, and as I wanted to grab him,
You were like,
and
today's
well, no,
the day.
okay, even better than that. We watched Dr. Cooper on Nurse Jackie,
Uh-huh.
and we saw how hard it was for him to get rid of his toys,
Right.
his childhood toys. He was
Uh-huh.
holding on for so long. That's like me and my Godzilla. I try to hold on to it, but it gets to the point of you just gotta find
let go.
new toys in life. There's no
Yeah.
toy. Move from a toy to a hobby to
A person.
from a job to a career. We're moving ahead. And I just think that that's where Tara is in life, and she never really was able to grow up. And I think that creating this disorder allowed her to remain and give the excuses of her not growing up.
Okay.
Are you with that?
Not really.
Why not?
Well, I don't think she created the disorder.
Not the disorder, but the
Her alters,
yeah,
I
her
think,
alters.
are part of her mind, and I feel like they were a way of her with coping with whatever happened in her life. I don't ever feel like she's made excuses in her life by having the disorders, but perhaps she has excused actions in her life
Right.
by blaming it on the alters. That being said, I think it's interesting that she's the new alter, this abuser alter, Bryce, is the most destructive of all her alters and is hurting people on purpose and hurting Tara purposefully, and it's finally a way for her to move away from all her other ids and egos.
And what gets me is that all these alters that are created are actually Tara.
Right. They're all different parts of her.
Right. So, but putting them all together, Tara knows what is wrong with her.
Because
Because Bryce knows.
Right.
Bryce knows everything. Bryce is probably the smartest alter.
Even though he's the youngest.
Right.
Well, at this
Well,
point,
one of the
now he's the youngest.
Now
the chicken's dead.
So, with that, it's almost like she's awakening and coming to terms with her sickness and this disorder. And it's funny because Bryce says, "I don't believe in DID."
Right. But he might not believe in DID, but he knows that Tara does. I feel like he feels like he isn't part of Tara.
Right, but at the same, and to me that comes from the fact of Tara's mentality creating the alter, which is basically her realizing, like, I wasn't really sick. I am a normal person. I've just been holding on to these memories, these thoughts, and reliving them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We see the scene of after they were playing Go Fish, Hattaras wakes up to hear, rock music playing in the cellar, where Bryce is with a pumpkin carved on his head.
Into the face of that Tim Burton character from The Nightmare
Jack
Before.
the Pumpkin King.
Yes.
And he was stabbing a red poncho, which represent Gimme.
Yes.
Another altar missing, another altar gone.
Another altar is dead. He says,
And it's
he said where is it? He killed the little girl, the Jew, and now the poncho.
And it's funny because none of these things are actual people. They're all items,
but
memories.
they're symbols.
Exactly.
He's killing off the symbols of these altars in her mind. So for her, when she switches back to Tara, she feels that they're missing because he's destroyed what represents them for her.
I wish she would, like Bryce, open up and talk about the fact of, well, now that they're missing, you feel empty, but do you feel
more whole?
Yeah. Do you feel a little of yourself growing? Like the actual Tara, do you feel her growing? They're missing, but you still have their memory. You still have their thoughts. You still can reference chicken. You still can reference Shoshana. That's all information that you gathered. Is that fully gone? She didn't really touch on that.
Right. Well,
tonight.
not yet.
Where Bryce, talked about by killing them, he grows bigger and bigger.
Well, yeah, the fewer altars there are for him to deal with, the easier it is for him to live.
To take over.
I just think Bryce is such an interesting character because later on in the episode.
Wait, how about him fucking the pumpkin?
That was
and then
so
offering.
weird.
It was. And then
Tara
offering.
doesn't have a penis. And he's fucking the pumpkin, and then he offers it to Hattaras and says it feels good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So what were you gonna say about
Bryce later on while they're having dinner later on in the episode thanks Hattaras for creating him.
Yeah. And what was the comment he made about father and son?
It's like an Oedipus reference where a son always wants to kill his father and marry his mother.
Yes.
Right. So he says to him, doesn't a son always want to kill his father? And then thanks him for creating him. Without Hattaras, he would have never existed.
Which
is sort of, I mean, I guess it makes sense as to what you were saying earlier, that it's a way for Tara to move on with her life. Because Hattaras has been like telling her, just move on, forget that they exist.
And he also has been the only person to say, I don't believe in DID.
Right.
So that's interesting that Hattaras is the one who triggered all of this, especially after the fact of, well, I guess Hattaras didn't trigger it. Hattaras brought him out.
Yeah.
What triggered it was her finding out that she had a stepbrother, because then we got to Buck traveling out late at night.
Searching for somebody.
Yeah, so, but as far as the killing part, we can explain the fact that Bryce basically tried to poison Dr. Hattaras by putting crab in the soup.
And he's deathly allergic
Deathly allergic
to crab.
Yeah. And at this point, Bryce is just rubbing it in his face. And it was interesting because even Charmaine thought that it was Buck.
Yeah.
No idea.
She had no idea.
Any type of Bryce until Bryce made the awkward comments about, "Ooh, you filled out," and all this.
You
business.
filled out nicely,
You
sister.
filled out, yes.
But Charmaine actually looked frightened.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that that Charmaine hasn't opened up and talked about it at all, especially after the wedding and the mother explaining, and then, her and Charmaine had gone out and basically talked to the foster mother, that the two of them never had that conversation with each other. What are they waiting for? What is Charmaine waiting for?
I think she sweeps things under the rug a lot.
Yeah?
She doesn't deal with her issues very well, I don't think, and she kind of just brushes them aside, which bothers me a lot about her, but also makes sense as to why she would find a group of addict mothers to hang out with.
And as far as being swept under, I mean, Tara got swept under at the end of the episode. Hattaras and the head of the psych department, they offer Tara professional help. They offer her an A as long as she doesn't come back to the school.
Which, so screwed up.
And
Tell her she can't go back to class.
Yeah.
To his class. And then after the semester's over, Hattaras is taking a leave of absence. So he's technically getting fired.
Yeah. I think that was a little much for them firing him. I do understand, crossing certain boundaries, which he did clearly do.
He's spending time with her when he shouldn't be spending time with her. I mean, he has office hours, and clearly he's sleeping over in a chair, not in her bed. But still, and he's like having dinner, like inappropriate type relationships going on.
And I loved at the end, he made the comment, "Tara, consider me converted."
Right.
Now he
believes in DID. After she almost killed him.
Well, and so with that, to me, it was like he knows and trusts Tara. He knows that she would never do that to him.
Right. Because she didn't know that there was crab in it.
Right. And then the fact that it actually happened, and it, her body physically went through with it, you kind of almost have to look and say, wow, this girl was really affected, and this really is a real...
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting because when her other alters do things, she remembers what they did.
That's new, because originally she never remembered.
Right, which makes more sense with the disorder, but with Bryce...
Nothing.
She can't remember anything. She doesn't even remember changing into him.
No. Poor Tara. This can go two ways, which, I mean, obviously we'll get into predictions.
Yes.
But that was basically the full episode. I mean, is that, you want to brush on anything before we head to commercial break and then our special segment?
Nah.
I
think I'm good.
Philip, can you please take us on out of here to our commercial break?
Want to find out what the AfterBuzz is about?
Janice is a drama queen.
This is the divide that is going to carry the series.
Give us a call. 424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
It's television, and they want it to be as dramatic as possible.
I mean, it's Shakespearean.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Find out why AfterBuzz TV is the #1 source for after-show content.
Now, in the eyes of Jimmy, Nucky is a villain.
424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
I mean, who would you guys rather hear that from? Your husband or your best friend?
The wig will come out.
When the TV show is over, get your AfterBuzz on.
Open up your eyes. This mess is getting hot.
It's kind of sad, actually, to listen to this, and we're going to be talking about the cancellation of Tara. Very downer song.
I know. I feel like we should be in a hot air balloon right now.
Floating above the sky.
Or animated.
Yes.
Or animated in a hot air balloon. Definitely in a hot air balloon. I don't know why.
No, I see it.
Right? You see it?
Overlooking the field. All right, so this is it. This is the end of Tara. It's funny, though, because at the beginning of the season, I don't know if it was just me and Erin talking about it or when you came in, we kind of said, like, well, hey, they might be on their way to healing Tara this season. And with that...
I was there for that, I remember.
You were. So with that, where else can we go?
Nowhere.
Are these other characters strong enough to hold
another season?
Another season. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like the storylines themselves are strong enough to continue on with further seasons.
But what type of a show would it
exactly?
Would really
I don't know. I feel they would eventually start having to stretch.
Yeah, I mean, right now.
I mean, maybe they went too fast, too quickly, like trying.
But it's almost I mean, you get people who actually aren't fans of the show. You know, they feel like it's like, oh, we're still trying to help Tara, and she's still going.
Well,
through
yeah,
the
I
same
mean,
thing.
it's something that she's been dealing with as a character for 20 years. I mean, it's not something that just goes away.
Right. You know, and then with that, it's like the point that they could use these characters in is the fact that Marshall is so messed up mentally in the head, which rightfully so. But how many young gay men are there in the world who are going through the same type of? I mean, obviously not the same situation, but the same type of feelings, emotions, and being that cold little boy. You know, same thing with Kate. You know, she never really had a mother. She's being promiscuous. She's always traveling, trying to search for something.
Sounds like fun.
Right. And then, you know, same thing as Max. It's almost like all these characters are searching for something.
But none of them have really found
anything other than Tara.
Right. I mean, if they end this season, which they regrettably are, the series, they're going to have to leave so many of these characters' stories open-ended.
Which I can deal with, but I can't deal with if they leave Tara's open-ended. Which makes me feel they shot this a while back because Tara's pregnant in it.
Right.
Did they wrap it up?
Did they wrap up the storyline? That's what's going to be interesting to see the end of the season.
Like,
and then the end of the series, they might not have known.
Right. So yeah, we just saw the Chinese flag. I mean, fan in the hospital
Chinese
on the
flag.
hill. So,
oh my God.
I mean, yeah, it's disappointing because, you know, I love Nurse Jackie. It's grown on me. But to watch a show like Nurse Jackie, which is on season 3 and moving into season 4, and then to watch a show like Nurse Tara, there's so much more to talk about.
Nurse Tara.
Oh my God, I'm going
United
crazy.
States of Tara.
United States of Tara. There's so much to talk about with Tara. There's
so much happens, and the storylines are so involved, and they're so good.
I mean, it's like every time we you know, not every time. Last week, I've been thinking about every episode. The first 6 minutes what they give us, there's so much information.
So much happens.
Nurse Jackie, I can, take my notes on one piece of paper and kind of wrap up the episode. And I think about the characters in Nurse Jackie versus the characters of United States, and these people on United States, it's so much deeper than most TV shows.
Yeah.
They do it in an almost cartoon-esque way.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that. Like right now, we're looking at the screen, and Tara turns to Bryce, and she has the knife in front of her, and she looks crazy, absolutely crazy. But it's the symbol of what she's representing, what thoughts in every person's head. You've had some crazy thoughts before, and we
Right,
don't
and
really
it's also-
search those thoughts. But this show takes it to that level of why do people think certain way? Why do
Right,
people
and it
do
also
certain things?
allows for us as audience members to watch a character fulfill out the crazy fantasies that are going on in their head, which everyone thinks, everyone wants to.
Absolutely.
Everyone says, I'm going to kill this person, I'm going to kill that person. No one ever does.
Right.
But Tara, in essence, is
That crazy bitch.
that crazy hoe who's stabbing a poncho in her basement. I mean, how many times a week do you want to just go in the basement and have sex with a pumpkin?
Well, all right, I won't talk about that. So, Phil, I want to get you in on this conversation.
Yes, please join us.
Yo, what up? What up?
Now, I know you've tried to get into Tara before, correct?
Yes, season 1.
All right.
8 episodes.
Season 1, 8 episodes.
You watched a full 8 episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
What, if there was anything, did you like about the show? And then what turned you off from the show?
I like the concept. It's one of those shows that I wanted to root for, but for me, especially initially on, I'm sure it's probably changed over the seasons, but the production value was kind of too low. The sets kind of looked too cheap to me, and at the time, the storylines were predictable and cliched for me, and so that turned me off. I was like, I don't really want to waste my time with this. But again, a lot of times for me, I really want to root for something, and it just doesn't always come. This was just one of those shows for me, but I hope it got better.
It's very good.
It's
Speaking from someone who's only started watching from this season, I'm so invested in the characters.
So you would go back to watch the rest?
I am going to go back to watch what I've missed at some point.
It's funny, Phil, you touched upon the fact of it's very predictable. I think it is very I mean, we predicted.
Yeah, I mean, it is still very predictable
where this is
to a
gonna
certain
go.
extent, but
It's how
it's
they
still
take
very
the characters there.
interesting. It's
in the depth in which they do so, for me, that has kind of kept me hanging on. Because, I mean, even with, we're watching Nurse Jackie now, too, with this season. Even with Nurse Jackie, it's kind of predictable. We can kind of
to a certain extent, but sometimes the things that happen to Nurse Jackie aren't as groundbreakingly interesting to me, because Jackie is a very realistic show in terms of what is happening to the characters when it's happening, as opposed to Tara being a lot more fantastical.
Right. And it's funny because as similar as they are, actually I think they're very similar in the fact of Tara plays more to the comedy. Where Nurse Jackie plays more to the the serious, and both are dealing with very serious disorders. I'd say Tara's is a little more.
It's a lot more obscure because it only affects 1% of the population,
Right.
As opposed to Jackie's addiction problem is probably
And it's like,
most of the United States.
And how long are we going to deal with the addiction problem?
Right.
You know?
How much addiction can you deal with?
And then when we do deal with the addiction problem, are those characters strong enough for another season?
Right.
So is Nurse Jackie safer in playing the more serious role?
I don't think so, because if Jackie ever gets better,
where's the
if she ever gets sober, there's no conflict anymore.
Well, yeah, and it's then it brings it to
and then it becomes ER
General
on Showtime.
General Hospital. Yeah, I mean, I'm just very disappointed, guys. Very disappointed with the viewers out there not watching.
Right? There's no fan base for this show that the show can't continue on. I think we should start a campaign like they did with Justified, was it? They sent peanuts to the producers.
Was that what it was?
No,
What
it
show
was
is
a
that?
sci-fi show, but we actually talked about it on our Southland podcast because one of our hosts, she worked for Sci-Fi. What was it? Was it Battlestar Galactica?
No, it wasn't Battlestar Galactica. It was a Western.
Oh my gosh.
No, it wasn't. With Justified? No, they wouldn't do that for Justified.
No, and Tammy used to watch it.
Tamara Berg?
Yes, used to watch it, and she was excited it was coming back. Oh my! It had a real different name.
But it was on for one season, and then it got canceled, and there was something with the season finale having to do with a peanut, and then all the fans like sent peanuts.
Well, so I mean, to me, okay, I could deal with a no season 4, but like I said, as long as Tara's story is wrapped up.
They only have 3 episodes left. How are they going to wrap up a series in 3 episodes?
Well, it's possible.
Yeah, especially,
I've seen it. There's crazier things.
I mean, crazier things have happened.
And especially at the point where Bryce is with Tara, it's almost a showdown.
Right. Well, yeah.
So if that showdown comes to an end and Tara overcomes...
And how many more alters are left, in essence?
3. 3 down, 3 to go.
3 down, 3 to go. So she killed 1 last week, 2 this week.
So, I mean, we'll probably... And then there's 3 more episodes.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then it's just I mean, they could take this someplace totally different with Bryce winning this whole situation. You know, which will take us right into predictions.
And now,
he just read my mind because I don't.
Predictions.
You know, where are they going to take this? Where next week we see a scene of Max telling Bryce, "Leave our family alone," and you know, Max already has in his head.
I didn't remember that. That was me going, oh yes,
like,
all right.
You know, and Max already has in his head now, like, wow, my son basically just told me I'm a bitch, and...
Yeah, so he's coming back to Tara angry, I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
That he's given up his entire life's hopes and dreams, and he's already angry, and then now he has to come back to find that there's a new alter who isn't, you know... like he says in the preview, like a stockbroker and has the numbers to the lottery. Like he's a nuisance. Bryce is a nuisance.
Do you think that that United States knew that this was going to end? Because I mean, we also see that Kate says, "I need to. I have
need to
a
get
job
out of this house,
and you know, I need to leave this."
They
house.
must have known that they weren't going to be picked up again. They had to have known.
Yeah. So where do you? Okay. So we have 3 more episodes left.
What's gonna happen?
How do you?
There's Bryce going crazy.
How do you want and think this is gonna go?
The smart thing for them to do would be to wrap up Tara's storyline and make her better, so that everyone, you know, wrap it up with like a nice little bow, which is what most shows do, and they make everybody happy, and they're like, "Oh, look, she's healthy again.
I don't think
she can lead a normal life." I just hope that they don't do that, because that's going to make me really angry.
I'm kind of wondering about that hospital on the hill, if they'll bring it to the point of, at the end, Tara has to go to Boston, and that's where they leave us.
That's probably where they're going to leave us. She goes to Boston, too.
And that's the happy hospital on the hill.
With, oh, look at you. Putting
Symbolism.
2 to 2 together.
Symbolism. All right, well... That's basically the show, guys. I guess we're back here in 2 weeks.
I think so.
We'll definitely keep you updated on that. Check out AfterBuzzTV.com. We're coming down to a serious end. I miss my poor little Erin, and I know she's probably just crying on the couch.
Hi, Erin.
But, yeah, we'll see you guys 2 weeks. Same time, same place.
Adios.
Peace.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janedy, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.